My name is Revati and I'm doing internship at Kannur Dental College and I hail from Alapura. Speaking about the experience with the whole debate competition, I'm getting reminded of a quote which I came across at some point of time. I never lose. Either I win or I learn. So this whole process has been an amazing learning journey for me. And one fact that I have acknowledged the most is that debate is not about proving my opponent wrong, but it is about proving myself right. And that is something I have learned from here. And I would like to thank Federal Bank and Madhrubhumi for giving me this stage out of my comfort zone where I could present my opinions. Thank you so much.
And we'll go to Fadil. Please introduce yourself.
Respected panel of jury, everyone present here, a very good evening to you all. My name is Fadil Bashir. I'm a third year BTech computer science engineering student. Now, one thing I really admire about this competition is that in every other debate you see the same thing. Everyone is out with the intent to win. And you can see that in their attitudes before and after the competition. But here, I feel the people are more interested in sharing ideas. You see people who are supposed to be opponents just minutes afterwards sitting outside and discussing their points just so that they can share their ideas and get a general viewpoint of everything. So this is something I really admire about this competition and I hope it continues on like this forevermore.
Thank you so much, Fadil. And we have 1 minute for each one of you. So we'll start with Revati and your time starts now.
Respected judges and honorable gathering, quoting Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful tool to change the world. In spite of living in a 21st century developing nation, the educational qualification of our political leaders are jaw-droppingly pathetic. To represent our country in the international front, the leaders has to be educated, not just academically, but in etiquette and general awareness. Let me remind you that equal right for everyone to contest in elections came into existence in 1950, where the literacy rate was as low as 12%. But today when we boast of 74.04% literacy rate and guarantee quality education to citizens in within 10 years, should we still abide to the 68-year-old archaic law? Dear friends, our country requires statesmen, not showmen, and statesmen are product of education and experience. My notion is not to outcast uneducated minorities. My suggestion is to elect a well-read man who can understand and respect the diversity that forms India.
All right. Now, Fadil, your time starts now.
By enforcing a minimum educational requirement, not only are you raising a huge barrier for people wishing to contest the elections, but also you're doing it on a completely arbitrary measure. A level of education cannot make or break a politician. What instead matters is his ability to sympathize, to empathize, and to understand the needs of the people and feel the urge to do something for them. It is one thing to say that a politician needs to be educated in the processes he is involved in, but a completely different thing to say that a minimum education qualification is required. Because in a nation like ours, where 27% of the population cannot even read or write their own names, it would be a huge misrepresentation of our nation as a whole, and mislead a sizable part of our population into thinking that they simply do not matter enough to be represented. Such a rule would be elitist. It would be anti-SC, anti-ST, anti-woman, anti-poor, and clearly in violation of the democratic spirit. Thank you.
All right, now you both have 3 minutes to express your views and your time starts now.
Let me substantiate my proposition with an amazing irony that I see in our society. Google, which has a total amount of only 61,814 officials, require a man as educated as Sundar Pichai to guide them. ICICI, an organization with officials as much as 84,096, requires somebody as educated as Chandra Kochar to guide them. Isn't it paradoxical that a country with billions of people as the population do not require an educated man to guide them because it is okay to be uneducated if you want to become a politician?
She's comparing it with private sector, so please.
You just described companies whose sole purpose is to generate money. They only need brains who can manipulate algorithms and generate their bottom line. That is not the idea of a country or its governors. The people require someone who can understand their needs more than someone who is most qualified to manipulate them. That is not what a government stands for. To make
my friend, I would like to oppose that by saying rules and regulations and putting them into an organization so that the organization is taken to higher levels. That is what the head of every organization do. And when we talk about politics, it is more complicated than public sector. And as far as I am concerned, my views are concerned, I strongly support that somebody who's more qualified than all these officials must be leading a country, because it is the lives of 5 billion people.
Why look at it at the topmost level? Being a politician is first and foremost about representing the people, and that starts at the lowest of levels. And in a nation like ours, as I've already said, where people with illiteracy levels, if a rule like this is brought out, they immediately lose their right to represent themselves, and that is not the spirit of a democracy. A democracy is supposed to be for the people and by the people. Won't you agree that this ruling would immediately violate that principle?
I'm getting reminded of a quote which I came across while reading one of the greatest philanthropists, Sudha Murthy's book, Wise or Otherwise. She said that for a minority who are denied most of the things in our country, if things should happen properly for them, it's not someone from the tribe who should be representing them, but it is someone who knows what is available in the world and what is not available within the tribe, who can actually bring a reform for them.
And who better than to tell the people what the tribe does or does not have than a representative from that tribe itself?
A representative from the tribe can only speak. They cannot bring up reforms. And that's what I'm saying. A complete reformation of the situation can be brought about by somebody who's educated.
Okay, let's say for a second that I agree with your proposition, hypothetically.
Okay.
So you're saying there should be a minimal educational qualification. There is no way, if you look at it in a technical viewpoint, that you can implement such a restriction in our country. Different posts require different thresholds of education. How would you suggest then we could bring something like that? It would be nigh impossible.
Why should it be?
All right. Thank you so much. Now you have questions from the judges. We'll start with Revati first.
The share of illiterate people in India constitute around 26% as of now. If you stand on your argument that basic education qualification is required for becoming the political leader in India, either to become the representative or otherwise leader of a political party, that means absolutely this 26% of population will remain outside the paradigm of Indian democracy. How can you call such a polity as democracy if you argue that minimum educational qualification is required?
So to substantiate my point, I would like to bring up a proposal which I strongly believe in. Before a person getting to join up for politics or representing his people, why not he go through a minimum education, a training period, so that he understands the necessary qualities that he's supposed to ensure while he's representing the people. I'm not saying he's having a degree or he's having a post-graduation, but a minimum level of awareness, not just academics. Don't just clamp down education to academics.
Time's up. Now, Fadil. Can I have the question for Fadil, please?
Yeah, in your earlier narrative, you had mentioned that it requires an educated person to manipulate balance sheets. Okay, that allegation goes against the very grain of education itself. If that is the case, you and I cannot enter politics. Your views?
So I feel like the point I have made has been slightly misconstrued. What I meant was, in companies like these which deal with a lot of technical aspects, there are a lot of technical knowledge and know-how that are required to manipulate the algorithms, that is the inner workings of the company, and generate revenue. That is all I meant by my earlier statement. Whereas when you take the concept of a government, it's a completely different thing altogether. The people, the ones who are being governed here are not simply profit makers or some...
All right, thank you so much, both of you. Please take your seats.